Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today we're going to be chatting about purple blushes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today we're going to be doing a purple blush roundup review. So I've gathered all the purple blush that is currently in my makeup collection. I'm going to be swatching them for you on the back of my hand so you can see all the comparisons straight away. I have some powders, I have liquids, and I have creams. And then we're going to be talking favorites and stuff, and I tell you all the pros and cons. I had 3 of these in my Shop My Stash this month, so I did do reviews for all of these already in the past. So if you want to see close-up swatches or what things look like on my cheeks, I will make sure to link you to as many reviews as I can, because as far as I know, I did review all of these. And then we'll be chatting about these. And like I said, I will do swatches in this video today. So first things first, I actually have a combo that I believe is very much discontinued. That can happen with some of these products because I just tend to like have things sometimes. But this sort of combo I'm about to show you that was discontinued is the reason why I have so many of these purple blushes. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Urban Decay's Bittersweet with Melt's Electra. This little combo has been my go-to. This was the one I was holding up in the view, like in the little, what's it called? In the thumbnail. That's what I was looking for. Because Bittersweet by Urban Decay is like, in my brain, the ultimate purple blush. It's why I've never decluttered this, because this is so special and I haven't seen any other brand ever do anything like this. I do like to top it with Electra from Melt because Bittersweet can be a little bit intense for my skin tone sometimes. So then I like to like pair it down with this lavender shade. And this has a little bit of sheen, whereas this is a matte. And nowadays I just prefer if there's a little bit more of a glow to my blush. I just do. So this combo works really well for me. We're going to do powder blushes first, I already mentioned, but we have a spectrum of purples here. Some of them may be a little bit more berry, some of them may be a little bit more mauve, others may be a little bit more pink or lilac. There are loads of different shades of purple blush, but like I said, this is what I hold everything to. This Urban Decay blush that was discontinued years ago, I just like. So here is the Urban Decay, the darker one, and then the lighter one is the Melt. Let me see, where should I put these? Here is the Urban Decay and here is the Melt. You can see that the Melt has just a subtle hint of shine. Oh, and did I tell you we have 20? We have 20 blushes to talk about. So like I said, these are very much discontinued. I don't think you could still get both of these. But yeah, I like layering these together for like the ultimate purple blush look. And that's sort of what I compare every other purple blush in my collection to. But these you can no longer get, so I do want this video to be as helpful as possible. And hopefully there's something here that you can still buy that you like the look of. For a lavender blush, this is I think the only thing I may not have reviewed yet. That's why I'm putting it early on in the video. This is by Etude. This is the Heart Pop blush in Lavender Bloom, I think it's called. But it's this very icy, sort of very pale lilac thing. I think it's really close to Electra by Melt, so that's why I wanted to swatch it next, so that it can be really close to that. So if you were looking for something like the Melt, but you don't have access to the Melt one, then yeah, this has perhaps a little bit more white, but they're essentially the same thing. Like, these are so light. By themselves, they don't really show up on my skin very well. So they're nice as like toppers over things to tone some more intense things down. And if you're super pale, then these may actually work on you. Another blush that sort of falls into the very light category, but this I feel pulls a little bit more pink, is the Trust Yourself shade number 51. In the colorful blush from Sephora own brand. This I wanted to try because in the pan, it looks pretty like a pinky lavender sort of shade. And I do feel it's a little bit misleading. It's just more of a pink, especially on the cheeks. But that's how I feel about a lot of these blushes, in case you were wondering. Most of these are not that special. They're not as purple as you might expect. Here is the Sephora one, and as you can see, it's essentially a very light pink with a slightly hint of blue to it. It's pretty. It's sort of like a pinky lavender, I would say, or like a lavender pink shade rather than a true purple though, just so you know. Then if you're looking for something that's purpley mauve, the Too Cool for School Art Class Rodin blush in D Mauve is really pretty. The reason why I'm featuring it in this video here today is that mauve can be purple, but it doesn't have to be. A lot of mauve tone blush actually have a lot of brown in them, and that's what I tried to not have in this video today. I really wanted to focus on having purple things in as much as possible, but you can see that this almost has this desaturated, almost grayish vibe to it, and especially this side of the blush, so that's what I will be swatching for you, has this really pretty purpley vibe to it that I think goes with this video really well. So I've swatched it here. You can see it has a little bit of warmth compared to the Sephora one. So depending on how cool toned you are and what looks good on you, the Sephora one may be better if you need something super blue toned. But if you can get away with a little bit of warmth on your cheeks, then the Art Class one is really pretty. I especially like how desaturated it is, and compared to other mauve toned in my mauve tone blushes in my makeup collection, it's definitely more falling into this category than it is in the true mauve tone category. It's sort of that perfect in between. Then we have a Pat McGrath blush. This is the Divine Blush Duo in Venusian Sunrise. And I'm swatching this one for you, not because it's a true purple blush. It's not, because it is essentially a duo between a peach and this like pinky lavender. I will only be swatching the pinky lavender, but if you were looking for like a good pinky lavender blush, don't get this. It's too expensive for what it is. I think there are other lavender blushes on the market that are just a little bit better. And it's very difficult to pick up by itself because it's just such a small part of the pan. If I use this blush, I do use the peach and the lavender together, but that makes it a lot more warm toned. And as you can see, again, it pulls a little bit more of like a stronger pink, and compared to the Urban Decay, it's really not that purple. So that's another thing to look forward to, but it is definitely like, this has a little bit more peach compared to this, so it is definitely more of a cooler tone pink than the Art Class one, which is more of a mauve. And then we have the Fenty Beauty Fenty Cheeks Suede Blush in Drama Class. And this is one I really wanted to test out because I liked What a Brat, but that's more of a pink tone. It is a cool tone pink though. It has a silvery blue sort of reflect to it, but in the pan it definitely looks more like a pink. I could have featured it here perhaps, but in my brain it fits more in the bright pink category than in the true purple category, and this is definitely the most purple thing that I think is currently for sale in like the consumer market. I'm sure there are indie brands that do like purpley tone blushes, but from like brands that are a little bit more widely available, I think Fenty just does the best thing. That being said, Drama Class as a shade is only available through their official website. They no longer sell it in store. And you can see here that it sort of has the quality of like the purpliness of the Urban Decay, but combined with Electra. So if you want a one-stop shop of these two things and you don't want something that's super wide based like this, then you can go for the Fenty Beauty, because I do think that's really nice. You can't really see it here because it's on my knuckle, but it does have a really beautiful like blue flash to it. Maybe you can see it on my finger here, where there's a little bit left, but it has this really nice sort of blue quality to it. And I actually have this layered over the Fenty cream version of Drama Class on my cheeks today, in case you were wondering. Those were all the powders I wanted to share, and now it's time to swatch the creams that I have. I already mentioned this, that this is on my cheeks today. This is the Cheeks Out Cream Blush by Fenty, also in Drama Class. The question is, of course, do you need both? I like them layered, but I also did, like when I first started testing them out, I did one cheek with the cream and one cheek with the powder, and to be quite honest, there isn't much of a shade difference all that much. There is definitely a different effect because I feel this cream doesn't have the same sort of like sparkliness that the powder has. But let me put that one here. So I'll put it on the other side. It is definitely like, if you want something that's truly super purple, then the cream version is perhaps a little bit better. But I do feel that when these sheer out, whether you use the cream or the powder, they look pretty similar on the cheeks. I really like this layered look the most because then you get the intensity of the purple and then the shininess of the powder blush. So it's like the best of both worlds, you could say. But you definitely don't need both. If you were between one or two, I definitely think the cream is really pretty if you have dry skin. The powder perhaps more so if you have an oilier skin type. However, I do have dry skin and the powder looks fine by itself on me as well. That's why I bought Drama Class, because I liked Water Brat so much. I just loved the way it looked on my cheeks and I was like, ooh, this blush formula is truly something different and something I've never tried before. So if you're just looking for a really good powder blush, the Fenty Cheeks Suede blushes come in heaps of shades. You don't need to go for the purple if you don't want to. I do really love the formula of those. That's why I now have two. Then I think the next blush falls into that pinky category a little bit too much, but Tower 28, the Beach Please in Dream Hour, was marketed as like a pinky lavender, but it definitely feels more like a bright pink now that I have it in my house. It's one of those things where sometimes brands will make things seem more interesting in online pictures than it actually is. But it's just a really pretty, like, vibrant pinky cream blush shade. So I definitely put some things in here that are marketed as cream blush or that are advertised as like purple blushes or whatever. But you can see this is by far the most vibrant pink thing that we have seen so far. So Tower 28 Beach Please Dream Hour, beautiful blush by itself, but don't think of it as a purple blush is my opinion, because it definitely isn't. Maybe if you have a super warm undertone, then this can give you that pinky lilac-y sort of vibe. But if you have a true cool toned undertone, and especially if you have light skin, this is just going to look like a bright purple, or bright pink, I should say. Then I have something that's discontinued. I don't think you can still get this, but it's by Giorgio Armani. It's their Neo Nude Melting Color Balm in shade 50. And this is by far one of the most gray-leaning things I have ever seen in my life. It's a bit of a weird one because it's sort of like a cream to powder kind of formula. I think this is, compared to everything else, this is going to be like the most brown toned. Let me put it over here next to the art class. So the art class is right here, so that's a little bit more peachy, and this looks straight up brown compared to everything else. But this on the cheeks, as far as like a true cool toned, like, you can see it here, I think, on my finger as well, that it just has that hint of gray to it that makes it so interesting. It's one of, and this is also not marketed as a blush, but like it's called the, what was it called again? The Melting Color Balm, because this essentially can be used on your eyes, it can be used on your cheeks, it can be used on your lips. It's one of those like monochromatic, can do it all kind of shades. And this is lovely if I don't want to wear too much makeup, but I do want there to be a little bit of color to my cheeks. Then this is nice, and you can just dab it on your eyes and you will have a really pretty effortless look. So I really like this product from Giorgio Armani, but I don't think they still do it. It's a bit of a shame. Then these Fwee pudding pots come in heaps of shades. They do different undertones with these. I think there are 35, so you need to look for things. This is in the shade Slay, and this is from the mauve category that they do. It looks like a berry in the pan, I feel, but it definitely has a cooler vibe to it. So something that you need to know about this blush range. This can again also be used on your lips if you want to, but I tend to just use them on my cheeks. This is definitely a little bit deeper compared to anything we've looked at. And it's a little bit more berry, almost reddish toned. But this Fwee blush line comes in different undertones, like I mentioned. So each color category will come in a cool tone, a warm tone, a pink tone, like a neutral undertone. And Slay is one of my favorites from this entire line. Like this, in like the winter season, gives you this like really nicely flushed, just in from the cold kind of thing, and it's just so stunning, so stunning. So here again is Fwee Slay. I'm trying to sort of swatch things together that kind of fit together, you can say. Then we have a limited edition blush. So again, nothing you can still get, I guess. But I love this packaging. Ooh, it's very reflective. This is by Catrice. This is from their Mystic Forest range. And this is the cream blush in Purple Touch. So when I spotted this, I knew I had to test it out. But can you see? It's essentially the same thing as Slay from Fwee. I think this is a little bit more purple though. Needs a little bit of reviving. It's gotten a little stiff. Perhaps with a touch more purple. Here it is. I'll swatch it next to Fwee so we can see. So we can really compare it. Ooh, yeah, this does have more purple. It's not as red. But it definitely falls into like a similar category where it just has this depth to it. This on deep skin is going to be beautiful. But I believe that with a light hand on fair skin, you can still make it work. Especially cream blushes work for this really well because it's so easy to control how much you use. If you use your fingers and you heat up the product, just press your fingers together and then tap it on, and then you can just layer it to where you want it to go. You don't need a brush with everything you use, and using your fingers with creams and liquid products give you a lot of control, and it makes sure you don't go overboard. Again, a similar vein. I told you there would be some like berry purples in here. I still have this Glow Play blush from MAC in Rosy Cheeks, I think. Rosy Does It. I have two different ones that have a very similar name. But this line as well of cream blush is really beautiful. And can you see that it's like, again, a purpley undertone, but it's quite a bit of red in as well. I believe this is marketed towards deeper skin tones as well. Not to people with my pale face. But again, it's just really, really pretty. Let me put it next to the Catrice. Ooh, this has a really interesting, like, pinky purple flash. Do you see, like, in the pan, these three look really similar. But the Fwee has more red, the Catrice is a bit more purple, and then this one has more of that pinky berry sort of vibe. It does seem to have a little bit of, like, a blue undertone to it. So again, like with the Catrice, if these shades look super dark for you and you're like, but I have fair skin, use a light hand or use a very wispy brush or something like that, and you can make it work. But this again on deep skin, if you have deep skin with a cool undertone, it's gonna work. Finally, we have another like pinky tone, and this has been in my Shop My Stash this month. I've been wearing this in several videos. I have found though that this is quite sheer, so I need to layer it quite a bit. So I've gotten lazy and I've just been using it straight from the stick, which I normally don't recommend. But this is the Dior Backstage Blush in Pink Lilac, and it's their pink, like lilac-y tone. It is more blue tone than Rosy Glow is, the pinky tone one that I have in the powder formula. But it's not a true purple. Like compared to some of these purples, it's not that purple because I think it's similar to some of the other pinky tones. So I've added the Dior one here. So I put the Dior one right here, and then you can see that it sort of fits into this like pinky purple sort of vibe that we've got going on here in the middle. So it's pretty. It definitely has a lot going for it. But because of the sheer formula, I don't think I'll be reaching for this a lot. And because I do feel I need like 2 or 3 layers of this to actually make it show up, there's just a little bit of white in here that I don't understand. It just doesn't feel that pigmented, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I would go for the Fenty gives a pretty similar effect. One's on the lids or one's on the cheeks, I find. But yeah, it's really pretty. I do like it. It's very bougie. I'm glad I own it. But it's just not as purple as I wanted it to be. Like, these are all marketed as purples or berries or whatever, and you can already see what an array of purples we actually have. The final category I have for you are liquid blushes, and I actually have quite a few here. Another sort of like pinky purple sort of vibe, let's get those out of the way first, is Glossier's Wisp. That's this one, and this was launched a little bit later. The original Glossier Cloud Paints weren't that cool toned, and when they started doing this, I was like, yes, thank you. That I like. And here is what that looks like, and I actually think it looks pretty similar to the Dior. It's just a touch darker. Like if you want a slightly deeper version of the Dior, you want the Dior without the white base, check out Wisp by Glossier, I'd say. Cloud paints are super blendable, easy to work with. You can make them work in so many different ways, and I really like mine. I still have two, I have Black Cherry and I have this one, and I just use them in different seasons. This is a really lovely formula, and I do really like them. I also have the dupe version of the Glossier formula-wise, but I do feel that the MUA blushed liquid blushes don't come in the same shades as the cloud paints do. The most cool tone thing I have from MUA is Black Currant. This is a very, very deep shade though. I don't use it all that much because of, like, look at how dark this is. Again, with a light hand, you can use it for sure. Let me put it next to all the darker things, but you can already tell I haven't even like sheared it out how deep this is. So again, if you have deep skin, but it's so, it's such a strong purple. See, this is why I wanted to own it, because it's so unique. I don't have anything else like it in my makeup collection, but it's dark. Let me see if I can like put it here on the inner part of my hand so you can see what it looks like when you shear it out. So I've taken most off on the back of my hand, and then if you tap it in, like, this is what you get. So I feel like if you really, really shear it out, it's actually closer to Slay or something like the Catrice. Like, this is what it looks like full on, of course. But if you shear it out on your cheeks, it's actually really pretty. Next up is the Juicy Pang Blusher by Fwee in the shade Raspberry. This is, again, it's like pinky purple. It was very comparable to Grace by Rare Beauty, and I like this formula better because the Rare Beauty in Grace is actually a matte and it's really difficult to blend. With the Rare Beauty blushes, I only like the dewy versions, and those I only have in like warmer mauvey tones and peachy tones, so nothing like this. But this was really close to Grace, and I like this formula better than I did that one, so that's why I kept this one around. And Raspberry is, again, it's more pink, and it's definitely a little bit of a warmer purpley pink compared to anything else we have. So that's why I put it down here next to Black Currant by MUA, because I kind of feel it's an odd one out. Like, you can see, like, this looks borderline peach compared to everything else that has a lot of warmth. But again, also if you have a warm undertone, you may want to wear some peachy or some purpley things. And then this can probably work quite well. I don't wear Raspberry enough. The one I really reach for from these Juicy Pang blushes is Strawberry, which is a warmy pink. But this is beautiful. I think that if you do have a warm undertone, it can work for you. For me, it's not the best. Another pinky purple then is this one from M Cosmetics. This is in the shade, is this Amethyst? No, Little Lilac. And I haven't used this all that much. I think I got this in last year. Maybe I haven't even reviewed this because I might have. I don't know. I don't remember the last time I wore this actually. But I'm putting it with all the other pinky purple things so we can compare. But this is the issue, of course, with a lot of like purple, like things that are marketed as a purple blush, is that they're just not that purple in the end. But here is the M Cosmetics in Little Lilac. Ooh. Can I show this to you? Yeah, there we go. So compared to all of these other things, it definitely has a little bit of interest to it, but it's definitely more like pinky toned, and it doesn't have as much blue, but it's still purple at the same time. It's like this really perfect in-between shade, so I do like that. And then finally, I have two shades by Noose. I have their Mousse Care Cheek and their, I can't read it because it's all in Korean. But this was the Cream Cheek, and this is the Mousse Cheek, whatever. This is in Dim Dum, this one is. And this is really interesting. It's more gray leaning almost. So I think I want to put it up here, because it's so different compared to anything else. So here is Dim Dum. And I actually think it's a good alternative to something like the Armani that I swatched below it. This is, again, it looks almost brown compared to everything else. But again, here I think you can see, especially with the shine on my finger, how much gray this has. And the best part about this line is that they have a white and a gray in the line that you can add as mix-in shades to these blushes. So they're meant to be super customizable. So if you want this to be even more gray leaning, so you don't want a purple with a lot of blue in that's very vibrant, but you want a purple that's more closer to a neutral, then look into Noose. So can I show you? This is what the brand is spelled like. And they do wonderful things. When I saw them on Robert Welch's YouTube channel, and I haven't been this quick getting a new blush as when I saw these on his channel, because I think he showcased these these are little mini travel sizes, but they do have different shades. And then this, like I said, I believe this is just called the cream blush, and I believe this shade is called Crema Mauve, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I can't read any of the lettering, so I'll figure out what this is called and put it in the description box. But this is, again, a little bit more of a pinky lilac, but again, with quite a bit of white gray running through it. I can't describe it. So here is the other Noose shade for sure. Here it is. So here are all the swatches. As you can see, this is just a little bit more white based. It's lighter. It's more blue toned, actually. It goes better with some of these purpley tones I swatched here at the top compared to some of these berry tones and the brighter pink things for sure. But I ran out of space. So there we have that blush. And again, I'll make sure to have this for you here at the end. So we have Fenty, Urban Decay, Etude, Melt, Etude House. Here we have Sephora, and this is Noose. Then we have below that Giorgio Armani. Then we have Art Class. Next up is, I've already forgotten, Pat McGrath, Tower 28, Dior. This one is, I just knew it. This is Glossier, and then we have M Cosmetics. Down here we have the other Noose one. This one is Raspberry from the Juicy Pang line from Etude. MUA. This one was Max, Glow Play, then we have Catrice, and then we have Fwee. So those are all of the swatches of all of these lovely blushes. They are all a rendition of purple, and where I think I will reach for my Fenty Beauty ones a lot, but like I said, this Urban Decay blush, I don't know, it's just not been beat. Till this day, it just hasn't been beat. So it will have to stay in my collection for quite some time. But yeah, depending on what you're looking for, is it something that leans more berry, something that leans more pink, something that leans more neutral as well? We've seen that as well. Or if you want something that's truly cool blue, purple, there are loads of options out there, and I hope that this video was helpful for you to decide what you would like to get, what kind of purple blushes you enjoy wearing. I definitely think I have a nice array here. If I look at my hand, I'm like, oh, I actually have some really good things here. Not that I didn't know that. I have a nice blush collection. I know. But yeah, thanks so much for watching me here today. Let me know in a comment down below what your favorite purple blush is. I would love to know, and then I hope to see you again really, really soon in another video. Let me know if you want me to do this with other blush categories. I could do a video with all of my peach blush and all of my red blushes, and I could do this with all of my pink blushes and all of my mauve blushes. I have a lot of mauve. So thanks so much for watching me here today, and then I hope to see you again really, really soon in a new video. Bye-bye.